position. Rise up, make that decision. God will provide all your needs. He wants you to succeed. Have faith of a mustard seed. Get up on your feet. Rise up.
Welcome to another segment of the Drexel Seymour Show. Now, every day, basically every day we learn new things. I'm not too familiar with this topic today that we're talking about, but it seems as it is something that is trending for the future, and it's about STEM. And so we have two individuals who will talk about it and why it's important, how it will impact us, and where they think it's going to go in the future. So it's my pleasure to have these two gentlemen here. We have someone who's locally based here in the Turks and Caicos Islands, and we have another gentleman who is based in the United States of America representing the global impact. And somehow these two are able to connect. And I want to connect you as the viewers to provide you the better understanding of STEM so we can encourage our young people, or encourage anyone to become a STEM professional. So it's my pleasure to welcome both of you to the show, and I just want to say thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you for having me.
So please, thank you, you're welcome. So please tell us your names and where you're from.
Okay.
My name is Lekansay Missick. We're from right there, Providence, Turks and Caicos. We're born in Grand Turk, and I own and operate the Math Lab, Capernaum STEM Academy, and the president of STEM for Success Foundation, a nonprofit educational foundation that's focused on progressing STEM education in Turks and Caicos.
Right. My name is Dr. Calvin Mackie. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, in the States. We actually call it the Northern Caribbean.
Yeah, okay.
And I run an organization by the name, I founded an organization by the name of STEM NOLA that have rebranded as STEM Global Action. Nearly 8 years ago, we began in my garage engaging my two sons in hands-on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It has grown into a national movement, a global movement that have led me to Turks and Caicos.
Thank you. So for those of you watching, and even for me, what is STEM? What does STEM mean?
Well, STEM is an acronym: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And those four letters represent the disciplines of careers and possibilities in the 21st century that our kids can pursue. So you have your phone, right? That would be considered technology. And you got fintech, and you can pay things with PayPal now. But you remember you have to get your ticket at the airport mail. Now you can pull your ticket up.
Yes.
But even to have that phone, there's a lot of engineering that went into it. There's a lot of science. There's a lot of mathematics. So those are the things, those are the possibilities of the 21st century that all communities are being impacted by now and will forever be impacted by.
Okay. So it's basically those disciplinaries being brought together.
It's the intersectionality of all those disciplinaries, okay. Yes.
So tell us how you started your business 9 years ago.
My background, I have a PhD in mechanical engineering. Grew up in New Orleans in a house with no books. Father dropped out of school in 8th grade to pick cotton. In rural Louisiana. I started college in remedial reading, developmental math, taking high school courses, and 11 years later I got 4 STEM degrees, a BS in mathematics from Morehouse, a BS, MS, and PhD in mechanical engineering from Georgia Tech. I was a professor for 12 years in engineering at Tulane University, but something was missing. I was educating a whole lot of kids that didn't look like me, and I wondered who was bringing the knowledge and information to my community. So 10 years ago, my wife and I decided, when we were raising our own 2 kids and we saw what we were giving to them, that the rest of the community needed this. So we put up $100,000 of our own money, went into the community, and began to engage the communities at its core. Low income, low resource, the people who otherwise wouldn't get this, we knew it was necessary that we bring it to them. And since then, we've engaged over 100,000 young people, wow. 47 states in the States, and now 5 countries, hoping that Turks and Caicos, in partnership with my man Lekansay, will be number 6.
Wow, that's incredible. That's amazing. Thank you for doing this. That's very, very, very.
Thank you.
A very good thing to do.
Definitely.
Lekansay, tell us how you started. I think it's about 2 years now.
It started back in 2019, so about 3 years. I started based on the need for development and things in the Turks and Caicos, because when I got my bachelor's of mathematical science in Berry University, and while there we had a math lab, and I also participated in STEM symposiums. So during my time there, taking part in those activities and utilizing the math lab to progress myself and acquiring my degree, I realized the resources that was limited here. So instead of allowing kids to wait until they reach to college level or high school level to be exposed to certain things, why not give them that exposure from an early age so they can lean towards STEM programs or STEM fields at an earlier age, so they can learn things like logical thinking and collaboration and teamwork and things like that. So that's what STEM helps you to do, to build the certain skills to make you in demand, to keep you in demand for the 21st century.
So you don't have to be very good in math or science then.
Well, the answer is yes and no, right? It all depends on what pathway you want to take. Both of us got mathematical backgrounds, and sometimes that scare people. So
yes, it does.
But what COVID did was that COVID revealed how everybody needs to be STEM literate. Everybody needs to be science, technology, engineering, and mathematics literate.
Right.
So regardless of what you want for your kid, regardless of what your kid decides to go into, even if your kid's interested in football or soccer or sports, if you go to the supermarket now, they have big data. They got predictive analytics. They're on TikTok. They're on Instagram. And those companies are taking their data and making algorithms to manipulate our behavior. So we have to understand STEM at every level.
Got it.
So Lekansay and I don't want to scare anybody off because we got mathematics degrees, right? And I want to thank him for stepping up in the community and saying this is too important for our kids to go without it. And it's all kids. Like you say, success for all, we say STEM for all. We want all kids to be exposed. And then with all kids exposed, we can find those ones who want to go even further and further and further.
So that leaves me to the next question then. So STEM is very important then. Why is it important?
Like I said, because you can think about the discipline science, technology, engineering, and math, and he just mentioned COVID. For the last 2 years, we've been locked up, and science, technology, engineering, and math is what kept us
so that's very
moving.
important.
Very important from the scientific aspect with the vaccines and things of the sort, the technology needed to get those things in place, the engineering and all those things. And like you said, you can't do none of those three things without the mathematics aspect. So it's from COVID alone shows us how important STEM is, because with education, we had to move from a face-to-face to a hybrid or online platform. Technology helped us to do that. So it just shows how the importance of it, and if we didn't have it, then what would have happened in the face of COVID? So we're being limited on a lot of different things. So that's just a small aspect of it for relativity based on the last few years.
Absolutely.
But going forward, we just show that how, we cannot predict the future. So if we're using science to come up with certain vaccines or predict certain behaviors from scientific behaviors, or understanding how humans, even our genetic makeups to see what works for this human or work for this race, or because, like you said, we keep being educating persons who don't look like him. We also have to understand that we're all different based on our geographical location. So certain vaccines and things may not be good for one person, may not be good for another person. So we have to take all these things into consideration through the science experiments and things of the sort. So that's just show how important for the sciences too and everything else.
Right, and that's why we have to have STEM following. Thank you for that, man. Because I often say when COVID hit, right? When COVID hit, the world was shut down, and people didn't say, send me a movie star.
No.
They didn't say, send me the Avengers.
No.
They didn't say, send me a studio. They didn't say, send me a politician. They didn't say, where's the lawyers?
No.
You got it? They didn't say, where's the politicians? They said, where are the scientists who are going to get us out this situation? And we got to make sure there are people who look like us in those rooms when those vaccines are being made, when those decisions are being made, to make sure that those decisions are in the best interest of our community, of our people. So that's why we got to have STEM fall, and that's why we got to start, we call it cradle to career. We live in the States. And in the States, they make sure every black and brown boy touches a football before the age of 4. And last night, they had the NFL draft the last 2 nights. And they didn't say we can't find black boys that can't play football. So we have to make sure that our children are touching STEM from the cradle, out the womb. We have to make sure that they have the lexicon, the speech, and understand this thing called science and technology, engineering and math, so they understand that they are being raised to participate, to be a producer, not just a consumer of it.
Yeah. So do you think then we need to change our curriculums that we have in the elementary and the primary and the secondary levels, so we can ensure we engage individuals into STEM?
I'll answer that. I don't know about the curriculum in Turks and Caicos, but as I travel the globe now and talk to people, I often make the comment like this. I say, there's a little kid in India and a little kid in China standing under the cloak of darkness to a candle, preparing for the day to kick our children's behind. They don't care about their race, what island they come from, who's their mama, their daddy. The only thing they want to do is take advantage of the opportunities in the world that our children are not being prepared to take advantage of. So the curriculum must adapt to meet the needs of the 21st century.
Absolutely.
Of course we have to be able to speak. Of course we have to be able to rate. Of course we have to be able to count. But now coding almost is like a second language.
Yes.
Every kid gonna have to learn how to code.
Yeah.
The 4 skills that come from STEM is creative thinking, critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. Every curriculum must address those issues on a daily basis
agree with you on
so
that.
our kids can be able to participate. And that's why what he's doing is so important because he's taking the kids out of the classroom, out of this pedagogy of just the teacher standing up talking to the kid and giving them hands-on activities that they know that they can start off with an idea and make something that's transformative.
They're probably not even going to use some of that stuff anyway. But
No more talk and talk. That's
yeah,
what I think.
but with the STEM, you're bound to whatever you learn from, you're bound to use it in the real life.
And always integrate it.
Yeah.
And those skills are transferable. And that's why I keep saying it's STEM for all, because the skills that you get from STEM, critical thinking, regardless, if you want to be a lawyer, a politician, amen, they need critical thinking, right?
True.
Communication,
True.
Collaboration, and definitely even the people who are filming it. The fact that we have this studio here today is the creatives that's going to be able to put this on television and YouTube in such a way that people can consume it.
Yeah.
So those are transferable skills to I don't care if you decide to make cakes. The skills you get from STEM allow you to be a more creative cake maker.
Yeah. So with your business that you have, or your how tell us how it works. So you have, are the students, are they full time, or are they attending a school elsewhere and they come to you after hours? How is it?
That's why I found your question about the curriculum so interesting, because I tried to change the curriculum in schools where my kids was attending and it was very difficult. So I started my program in what we call OST, out of school time.
Out of school
so
time.
I believe that STEM has to be as ubiquitous as surrounding as sports, right? If our kids can go to school and get sports, when they get out of school, they should be able to get sports. Now, if our kids go to school and get STEM, guess what they should be able to get out of school? STEM. So we started STEM in the community on Saturdays after school, during holidays.
Got it.
And we just built up this entire tribe, built up all this momentum. And the parents began to ask, how can my kid get this after school in a playground, but they can't get it in a school? So we began to engage so many kids out of school in the community that the community began to demand to the school that they change to give them this in school. So that's what we do. But now we're going into the schools. Like I said previously, we're in the process now. When we started in my garage. Now we're building a 42,000 square foot global headquarters in the city of New Orleans. And that global headquarters is going to be to support people like Lekansay, right? We're looking for people around the globe who's committed to this. He shouldn't have to bump his head and figure this out over and over and over again.
Yeah, and he can learn from.
We can learn, right? And we're bringing resources to the table. I mean, I've tapped into global foundations like Code.org, like the Scratch Foundation, that say, hey, can you help us find people wherever you go in the world who's doing this, so we can help them, give them these resources, so that they can do it and get the kids up. Because this is a global challenge. Kids around the globe need this, especially in nations where people look like us.
Yes. So how did you connect? How did both of you?
Well, we are one of our members from the 100 Black Men. We recently visited like a month ago. Dr. Eric Griggs, who you met him. I think he will do another interview with you soon. So we met, and when we met, he saw I was wearing my shirt for the math lab. It's like, what's that about? Like, and that's like, let's have a conversation. So we started speaking about it. I mean, and when I explained to him what's going on, he told me, I know a guy that's just like you, and just happened to be that guy.
Awesome.
And then so we exchanged numbers and we communicated, and then here they are. They came in for 100 Black Men, but they came for me apparently.
Hey, I love it. And it's important.
It's very important because I've been trying to do this for years now. As you may know, I have a partnership with Fortis TCI.
Yes.
So we thanks to them we really get a bit more exposure. So hopefully now with the global backing that we can get more to engage with more kids and extend our reach even further, because we in Provo now, so we not to get to Grand Turk and North Caicos and South Caicos and make sure we touch every island in the Turks and Caicos Islands, but through the assistance of Dr. Mackie and his organization and other organizations who want to assist us to reach our goals with STEM, then we will welcome any assistance that we can get, but that's the end goal.
Awesome. And I like what you said earlier, with that backing from the global. You know, you don't have to try be scratching his head. You know, you already went through that for the past 9 years.
Yeah, for the last 25.
25 years. And so he can learn from you.
That's right.
You know, what's the point of reinventing the wheel when something's already out there?
That's right.
And so we don't. I do like that connection.
Right, and we don't come to the island to do STEM on the island. We're STEM NOLA. In New Orleans, we call it STEM NOLA. Now we're in the state of Illinois, STEM Illinois. And that's why we created STEM Global Action, because we want to come to communities and help the communities. Because I don't know anything about the islands, right? I know what I like, but but the thing is, we have to come and support him so he can shape it.
I like it.
What's in the best interest of his community, right? You got to have somebody from your community doing the work, because it got to be relative to your community.
Because you know the community.
He knows the community, but the science doesn't change, the technology doesn't change.
No.
But the way you deliver it, the way you execute it, the way you organize the people, that has to come from the locals. And that's why we want to make sure that he has all the tools that he needs, such that he can focus on organizing the community and getting the word out, so as many kids in Turks and Caicos can get it as possible.
Yeah, but I think this STEM thing will not only have a positive impact, it will change the mindset of individuals, because too many people are suffering from even low self-esteem. But the fact that you could get into their minds with the STEM, I think will make we're gonna have a great generation.
It'll make a huge difference. I mean, we saw that recently with the programs that we put on. We had a robotics program, and the kids were amazed, first time being introduced to robotics.
Yeah.
And then our coding program, I mean, the kids were writing code. So I mean,
which they're not getting which they're not being exposed to in the certain,
So they're seeing these things to get a hands-on experience, a hands-on exposure. So now they're being more inquisitive. So now I'm getting parents contacted by certain parents like, okay, when is the next program? Like, what are you doing in the summer or the next holiday? So it takes these kind of things, like the initiation of these things, to get us ongoing and to get to the point where we want to get to.
Yeah.
So we're now exposed to, we're being, captured by certain organizations, certain people, so now we can get the assistance needed so we can prevail and accomplish our goal. Because that's the most important thing, reaching as many kids as possible, because we can have all the resources and things like that, but if we don't have the kids, then it doesn't really matter. So we have to make sure we incorporate things that engage the kids and draw them in. Because if we have to rely on like the curriculum, the board, they get bored very easily. So we have to understand that, so we can bring them to something new, especially that, we're not educated, I didn't say educated, we're not knowledgeable of STEM in the Turks and Caicos. So it's very hard to get people drawn to things that are new. So we have to keep on doing these things and sort of putting it in front of their face so they can know not only the importance of it, but how beneficial it will be in the future.
Right. And you brought up, right, the change of mindset. You know, what STEM does for a lot of kids is give them the mindset that they can save themselves. It gives them self-agency, right?
Got it.
We say that in the 21st century, our children have one of three options. Either they're going to take something, break something, and/or make something. And if we don't give them the education, the skills, and the inspiration to make something, like make a living, make a life, make a difference, that's only going to leave them with the two options that we see on the news every night. I didn't want that for my two sons.
No.
I didn't want that from the kids in the state that I had, in the states that I had access to. Now, Lekansay and the 100 black men don't want that for the kids in Turks and Caicos. And that's why, coming together, we're going to transform lives. And imagine kids walking around this island believing that I can start off with an idea and create something that's transformative, not only for myself, but for my entire community.
I love it. I love it. That's a very good point you made. Do you have any closing remarks you want to share with us before we conclude this interview?
Well, I just want to appreciate and thank Mr. Dr. Mackie for actually coming here and actually, having this conversation with me to see how we can actually get this thing mobilized and get it to where we want it to be. So, because we need the assistance. When I say we, I mean the Turks and Caicos and our youth and especially our boys, because if you look at it, every day we see a job posting or a news, somebody got a new hires or women. Now, not to take anything from them, so we need to engage our men more and get them into certain curriculums and certain experience in certain fields so they can be as successful. Not taking anything from our jobs, but it's important to engage our boys to let them know the importance of these things. So the 100 black men, and myself and Dr. Mackie, we plan to do that, and then the STEM is just another avenue for them to be more successful.
If I can end with something, they may not let me back in the island after I say what I say. Because, STEM is for all, right? And everybody, especially the big companies, especially these corporations that's extracting from the island from extracting its human resources, extracting its most vulnerable and most critical resources, are obligated to give back, to make sure that our children are in a position that they can participate and that they are relevant in the 21st century. And I challenge everybody with power. I challenge the politicians, and I challenge the people with influence to challenge these companies to make sure that they're giving back to the community that they're extracting from, so that people like Lekansay can do the things that we need in a community. This got to be everybody. Yeah. I mean, everybody got to pitch in and do what's necessary. He's doing the hard work. Even the teacher's doing the hard work. But the people with the most, to he or she that most is given, you know, you have to do more. Yeah. And they know what it takes. It takes resources. Yeah. With the resources, STEM is not cheap, it's not inexpensive, and we need resources. He needs resources such that he can do what he needs to do and empower more people to reach our children. And parents, you have a responsibility too. Like I said, my dad dropped out of school in 8th grade to pick cotton, was functionally illiterate, but the only thing my dad wanted from me was more than he had for himself. So everything he can find and stick me into, he stuck me into. And that's why we created what we created, so parents have something to stick their kids into. Lekansay has created what he's created. Stick your kids in there and let's get this thing going.
Well, thank you both. This was a very informative conversation, and by now I hope after you watching this show that you are encouraged and motivated to get involved in this STEM project right in the Turks and Caicos Islands. I'm telling you, I mean, based on what I'm hearing, it can make a life difference for your children. Because, you know, children are being exposed to so many things. And a lot of stuff is so limited here. But now that we have our very own Mr. Missick, who has a STEM project, and utilize them. I see him always advertising, say, we're gonna have this robotics stuff, we're gonna have this. You know, give them try it out, and you'll be amazed, because, you know, our kids are going down the wrong way. And one way to make a difference is to get involved in this STEM project, and it will benefit it. You have nothing to lose, actually. Okay. You have a lot to gain. And so I'm encouraging you to, you know, get more curious. And not only to get curious, get involved by participating in the STEM project, and encourage your parliamentarians, encourage your company to contribute towards this, because as Dr. Mackie said, it's very expensive. But at the end of the day, it is worth it. We need to make a difference in the lives of people, and we can do this through STEM. Thank you for watching.